forums and whatnot. What do you consider the most important issue that you have to tackle on Beacon Hill? And really, I either try to say the words really quickly, like jobs, tax, economy, or I say there are really three things that are very intertwined that I think are the primary concern of pretty much most of the people as we look at changing the legislature this year. Our situation is such that Massachusetts economically, it's no surprise to you that it is borrowing money now in you know, million-dollar digits, and I can give you the exact number, just to cover our payroll. Our rainy day fund is pretty much gone. Our pension system is unfunded. Our unemployment is at a 34-year high at a total of 320,000 people out of work right now in Massachusetts as of the most recent research and statistics. 100,000 of those people have gone out of work since Deval Patrick took office. And yet the only thing that we're hearing from our legislature is, how are we going to get more money from you taxpayers to solve our financial crisis? Well, part of our financial crisis is that the issue isn't how do we hit up these taxpayers to get a little more money. You can call it a casino bill, you can call it a tax, you can call it a $5 charge to speak to registry and motor vehicle workers. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, these are all methods of just taking more from us. And even still in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, our spending has even outpaced our taxing. They're still not keeping up. They're still spending way more than they can find ways to take money from us. They have rejected flatly, they have summarily dismissed Republican caucus initiatives to have huge and responsible cuts in the spending from the budget. They're not even looked at. And I think for that reason, people have started to look around and say, whether they be independent, Republican, Democrat, I'm finding, they're saying this, they see now that this one-sided, this one-party government, it isn't working for any of us. It's not just one party saying this isn't working. We're all in this together. And so what I also feel like, I hear people say initiatives, well, how are you going to bring more jobs? How are you going to fix the economy? And I think that sometimes people have a tendency to play to the smaller playing field that they're in and say, well, I think if we roll back the taxes, I've heard candidates say, that will be the solution. Clearly we should roll back the taxes, and clearly that's adverse to, it's hurting organizations, businesses, most especially the independent liquor stores, the small liquor stores here along the border are getting hit probably the hardest with regard to loss of business. I know through some studies and research with the Liquor Board and another taxpayer group that I think there's been 15,000 jobs probably lost because of it. So that is a significant problem and it needs to be changed. But I think going into the legislature next year, I can't help you in the district unless I work with it as a team player with the entire state. Because our problem has to be solved at a state level, not just a local level. I have heard other opponents say, oh, we need more industrial parks and we need more of these commercial properties in all of these towns. And what do you guys say I put a Target right next to the old Townsend Common? You don't want it, okay? Because that's not
shooting it.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah, really. I'd be hung up pretty soon thereafter. People that generally came to these towns and settled in these towns did so for a very specific reason. The character of these towns is really what draws them and what keeps them. Well, I think for a lot of people I'm finding that I'm listening to, Digital Equipment Corporation was the one that found them and drew them here. And then they've stayed, and I think a lot of people, when the high-tech boom took place, this area began to grow and grow because it was a great place to live and they could still work in the type of industries that were growing out on 495 and Route 3 and Route 2. And that's what I think I hear people still want. They're like, no, you don't have to put an industrial park in the middle of Townsend Common. What you need to do is you need to get those businesses that have left the Commonwealth to come back. And that is a huge statewide problem.